Oh shit. Oh, I hope you're not allergic to cats, because today we're talking about Stray. Now, Stray showed up at the Video Game Awards last year to be one of the chosen games to be Game of the Year, and, with Elden Ring, man, it just kind of was laughable. Even if it wasn't for Elden Ring, because it's not that Stray is an awful game, but it is certainly a much smaller experience versus being this really awesome, epic adventure that. But that don't take that necessarily the wrong way to say Stray is bad by any means. Stray is a lovely little adventure game that I think cat people will quite enjoy, or just simply a different little perspective of going through a journey. Now, I did not follow the development of this game. I did not know really anything about this game. I heard people call it a walking simulator, and I have to say I greatly disagree with that assessments. Now, a lot of people, walking simulator is either a good or a bad thing for most people. And to be fair, I don't look very positively on most walking sims. The only two I really give any real cred to that I've ever played are Firewatch, and the ending sucks in that game, which is a shame because otherwise it was actually kind of an interesting little game. And then whatever happened to Eden Finch, which I think is an excellent direction for walking simulator games to go in, but it still suffered many of the plagues that are in walking sims. Now, Stray, I disagree with its claims of being a walking sim because there were several segments that are open world. It has puzzles, it has action. I don't know why people call that, why there was a segment of people calling it a walking sim. I greatly disagree, but we're getting sidetracked. Let's get into what the game is about. So you play as a stray cat who's with a group of cats at the beginning, living in an area that is clearly overgrown and not really habitated by any people, indicating that you're a stray. It's the name. But you play just an ordinary cat. You don't have anything particularly special about you. You get one, you can jump, you can even meow at a command. And you'll find prompts throughout the world that allow you to do cat activities, like drink, get petted, rub against people's legs and stuff. So you get a lot of that. Now, you as a cat, you will be climbing a lot. Now, climbing basically is executed with X button, and you can go up and down of objects. And believe me, you'll have lots of climbing because you will be exploring a lot up and down stuff. Now, puzzle-wise, just in your cat form, you have limitations, obviously. Your cat can interact with things, turn on stuff and that, but it's not like you have any, magical powers or anything to do anything beyond that. Though, eventually, after a little play, you will get a little robot companion who will hang out on a battery pack that is equipped to your cat, which allows you to talk to robots, and the little robot itself can interact with several utensils, devices, and hover over to things, adding a little bit extra to the puzzle solving of the game, which just adds a little bit of what the cat needs to get outside of its normal limitations. But that's getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Sadly, our cat tale with our friends has a horrific event happen where we fall and fall and fall, rock bottom into whatever the hell this place is. And you, all alone, have to find your way back. And that leads into the events of Stray. Throughout your adventure, you'll find out where you are, what happened to this place, and what is going on in the world. And that will lead to many strange things. Essentially, what you find out is that you're in a city that is full of nothing but robots left, and something had happened to the people, and that there was a strange viral creature that eats anything, including the robots, including fluffy cats. And needless to say, these things had a hand in causing ruin. Now, the robots are terrified of these things because they will eat them too, which is not good. Now, essentially, you're kind of trapped with the problems of the robots if you want to move forward. You want to get to the surface, and over the course of time, you'll run into several robots who also want to go to the surface, while also finding a way to deal with these creatures. And you'll be tasked to go between the requests to move forward. Now, in general, the game is linear. It is mostly linear in the tasks of what you need to do story-wise. But there are several segments of gameplay in these city sections that'll open to several side quests, secrets you can unlock for trophies, achievements, or fun giggles and things, and interact with the different citizens of each of these town areas. They offer a little lax, a little side, and a nice bit of exploring, as those, well, being a cat, a lot of different places to climb up and find unique ways to get in and out of things. But generally, the game doesn't involve tons throughout the game, but I feel like it oddly makes a nice mix of elements being introduced throughout the game still. Generally, a lot of it stays the same, but there will be little segments that add a little bit. Like, later in the game, you'll find out light affects the creatures that are plaguing the city, and you will get a little bit of time where you'll have the ability to flash lights on them. During this segment, you'll have one of the few segments in the game that involves being able to defend yourself against these creatures. But it is shortly lived and doesn't last for the entire game. But primarily, you'll have to run stealth through a lot of things. But depending on which segments we're talking about, there are a few ways to trick, get around, or deactivate certain things so you can move forward. And being a cat, you'll have to sometimes team up with some things. Well, I did mention you'll get a little robot companion that will help you throughout the game. There will also be segments where you team up with the actual robot citizens of the city to also solve several puzzles. As say, like, for a simple example, maybe you're trapped in a room, but there's a little hole you can go through. Get out, then open the door to get the robot out, and the robot can reach something that you couldn't reach before. This leads to a very teamworky situation, and there are several segments that are like this throughout the game. And there are some heart-filled moments about what goes on with some of the robots, sacrificing choices and things to be done. But this isn't a multi-ending type game. Things are played out, and there's only one course of action to go through the whole game, so you're not going to change anyone's drastic fate throughout the game. Overall, the game is a pretty short experience. You'll probably clock in anywhere between 5-7 hours probably through your playthrough, depending on how much exploring, whether you focus on just getting through the game or not. But it is a charming little experience, honestly, and I think it is a nice, fun little experience. It's not an overly complex game to understand by any means, and it's fantastic game to relax to. Enjoy the sights and enjoy the adorable cat. And with that, how much do you think I would give as a value for Stray? Stray came out as a $29.99 game, so basically $30. Do I feel like it's worth that? Personally, I think $20 would have been a better price. Well, I'm not saying the game is awful by any means, but I just feel like, how should I say, the overall package feels a bit pricey. Hence the kind of saying it's an artsy game. Because, usually artsy style games get to push that price a little bit more, and that's kind of the vibe I get with it, like they're pushing it a little bit more than they may have. Now, admittedly, I don't know how much they costed to make Stray. My understanding, they used a actual cat to do some of the motion captures, which I'm sure benefited some of the realism in cat movement. And I'm sure a lot of that wasn't easy to capture, because after all, animal actors aren't always the most cooperative. But I honestly think $20 would have been a better price point myself. But Obviously, price is subjective, and it's still an enjoyable game. Luckily, you can get the game physically a bit cheaper nowadays. It was $29.99 both physically and digitally, and I could understand charging a little bit more for the physical, just a little bit. But still, I overall think, honestly, $20 is a better price range. Now, you'll see physical copies selling between about $25 to $30, so you got about that price range for them. And they're only on PS4 and PS5, though. As far as I know, the game never was put on Switch, and there's no physical for Xbox. It is on PC, though. You can get it on PC. But in general, yeah, I think $20 is a better price for this myself. But if you see it for a decent price, definitely pick it up. It's a very enjoyable little game. I liked it. It had very light puzzle, dodging, stealth, and like I said, it doesn't change up the gameplay entirely, but it does do a few little segments that keep the game interesting as you go along the title. Now, if you feel like you learned anything interesting in the video, feel free to leave a like, and if you feel like you learned nothing at all, feel free to leave a dislike guilt-free. And with that, let's get into the final segment, spoilers. You could probably have a few guesses at what kind of ending the game has, but to be honest, I liked the ending. It ends with you finally getting yourself very close to the surface and finding out what happened in the final moments of the city. And you go and basically open up the sky so the light can come in, thus killing the infection that has such a stranglehold on the city. Sadly, this came at the great cost of your robotic companion, who, in their moments of enlightenment at this time, realized who they were, what happened to them, and wish you a bon farewell into the world again. And with that, you get to wander back onto the surface world, and hopefully, perhaps you find your family again. The game ends, though, on a cutaway as the cat walks into the open surface world again. I have seen a video by somebody who mapped out like Stray's journey, actually, in the from the sky view you have of the city, and they personally mapped out and believe that, ironically, the exit may actually be very close to where Stray originally lived at the beginning of the game. And honestly, that would be awesome. But who knows, that could be taking some liberties there, to be honest. But it's a nice little thought process on that. And yeah, we're left with that. Now, as far as I understand, we never really get a full grasp on whether these things wiped out humanity completely, or if it's just the city. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of weird the city just remains ran down with no, like, if they couldn't save the city, you think they would bar it all off or something. But to be fair, we don't get a good sight of the surface world. We only get to see a stairwell leading into it. So, it doesn't really go into whether all of the world is like this or not, but it leaves a lot of mystery there, and apparently some people would like to see a sequel. And, I mean, they could do that. They could go into other environments of the world in this situation. Now, whether you would still play a cat, who knows? I mean, after all, that's one of the main charms of the game, of course. So it would probably be kind of weird not to play a cat, but that's pretty much all that's in the ending. Millie, I did get teary-eyed because your little robot companion sacrificed itself so you could get to the surface world. But you gave light to all the robots that remain in the city, and you escaped. So it has an overall happy ending, but there was a sacrifice for that. But overall, again, I recommend checking out Stray. It's a fun, nice, relaxing game. You know, once you're done with Elden Ring and you want to chill a little bit, pop in some Stray. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Stray. Again, if you feel like you learned anything interesting, feel free to leave a like. And if you feel like you learned nothing at all, feel free to leave a dislike, guilt-free. And until next time, be careful, though, in the wild jungles of the overworld. Who knows what else may have grown without humanity's intervention.